So when you first heard about the apocalypse, about Heaven's Cross, that Saint Germain mildly put that apocalypse concept into those words, Heaven's Cross, did you watch the webcast and hear it? And when you heard it, what was your first reaction? What did it feel like?
I was watching the webcast. I was experiencing the information, in real time. And Heaven's Cross, the phrase Heaven's Cross hit me. I don't know how else to describe it. It hit me. I've got goosebumps right now. There was a resonance. There was an aha moment, we might say in English. And what I was seeing at the end of the Saint Germain channeling, he hadn't used the word apocalypse. It was Heaven's Cross. And I saw it more as like an intersection, like a street intersection. I didn't see it like a religious symbol, a cross, a Jesus cross, Christian cross. It felt like an intersection. And it felt like I was standing in the middle of that intersection. And I didn't know what to do with that because the information hit me so deeply in real time. And I was kind of waiting until Shaumbra Magazine came out, or Jeff could explain it a little more, or there was more information. But otherwise, what do? You turn within to figure this out.
I heard it in the webcast, in the Merlin webcast. The first thing that popped up was hope.
Oh.
Hope, yes. It was
like Star Wars.
I'm
New Hope.
not so used to Star Wars, I don't know.
Okay.
Hope, for me, it was like there was always this inner feeling there's something missing. And this feeling of remembering who I am. This feeling of I exist. And for me, it was like, that sounds that it now really becomes available.
Tobias started talking about Atlantis and the temples of Tien, and so that has followed all the way alongside. So when Adamus talked about that, we had been preparing for this since then, and that was the reason why we were here in this lifetime. So there was an understanding of this is really, really big.
I guess my feeling was that, well, of course, we've all been working on this unveiling for lifetimes. That was obvious to me that we've been, kind of building these pathways between the different realms in some way. But what surprised me about it was this idea that there's a kind of completion to that work, that could be possible, that's happening now. So that took me really by surprise. And even when I heard it, I didn't fully maybe believe it yet.
I remember I was on a beach, and it was kind of to me, I was expecting a celebration, kind of a channel at the end from Saint Germain. And I was on a beach walking, listening to it, and of course, as always, Saint Germain drops the bomb and you least expect, and it came out of nowhere. But it was interesting because I was just blown away. Suddenly I remember everything.
So again, the second word. So the first word is hope, and the second word,
stress.
Stress. Okay, because
stress. Adamus told us if we weren't clear, our aspect will come and tear us apart. At least first. Later on, he said, well, they get integrated too. But why should we choose this suffering when when it can be more lightly, more easier.
So apocalypse is such a thing when all your issues are gonna come up and bite your backside if you if you don't let go of them, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that does sound fearful and stressful. Absolutely.
I was talking to a priest in the Catholic grounds, and I asked him about the apocalypse, and what he didn't say anything. I don't remember him saying anything. He just smiled, and that was it. So I thought it was just nonsense. That if a priest doesn't know what the second coming of Christ means, I thought he doesn't know. I mean, it's just nonsense. In September, when I heard about the apocalypse, I said, oh, okay, it seems like something. Yes. And that was my reaction. It was a big surprise. It was a big surprise because I thought there wasn't such thing as an apocalypse.
I remember that he started talking about Heaven's Cross. I'm like, oh my God, now he's going biblical on me. And, I thought we were over that, And so I was really triggered at first. It's like, why is he going there now? What is that? Where is that going? So it took me some time to really felt the depth and the gravity of it.
I was just blown away. Suddenly I remember everything. All these memories just like start flowing. It was very bizarre because in that one moment, it just felt like I never forgot. It was very, very, very amazing. And I just cried. I think I cried for like the next half an hour, and it was very, very special moment because I was just reliving it again. When I say that, I mean like reliving that oath that we all made that we're gonna be here for that time, and even though it's like eons and eons since we made that oath, I felt in that moment I was right there, but then it's accomplished. It's over. It's done. Like there is the end of the tunnel, and end of the tunnel was March.
And somehow I felt I'd like to tell everybody, but of course you couldn't because people wouldn't know what it was. But it was, it's a very special awareness that is there, and that I knew it was much bigger than I could even fathom. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the second was stress, and the third, the same day, was fear. Because Adamus also said, if we don't let go of this old stuff, we won't be here much longer. It was like, if I don't get it, I will be on the other side. So, no. So that was like pressure, but for me, it was good because, I started to watch on a deeper level,
Mm-hmm.
where still things are, where still hold on to things. Yes.
But then it really helped me to kind of felt the depth, and then I saw, oh no, it's actually exactly, because I thought, oh yeah, now we did, we do SES, we do like threshold, and there's a dragon, so what's, when are we done kind of thing. But then it's basically just the next step, the path to really take in all of myself, or each of us, of ourselves. And suddenly I felt the gravity and like, wow.
So how was it for you? In November, we all met at Staying Grace workshop in Kona. That was a beautiful workshop with beautiful ceremony where we all had to accept our grace and let go of suffering. So since then, since that moment, up until Heaven's Cross, were there any things that you could identify as, okay, this is building up for Heaven's Cross? And those things, if you notice those things, were there more on the inside or in the outside world, or both? What could you share?
No, I didn't feel anything. I'm kidding.
Sleep
I
all
felt
the
a
time.
lot. It's it was so intense. It was super intense, and I feel like I have built some tolerance for intensity, but it was next level, I would say, during those months building up to it. Not so much that things were like my life, it wasn't like anything big was happening externally, but just more on the internal levels, and also feeling a kind of tension in the air, I would say, in mass consciousness, and coupled with just a lot of very, very intense dreams at nighttime, and just feeling like energetically there was a lot going on that I didn't really understand.
I was getting more sensitive. More and more sensitive to people, of course. People were really difficult for me. I mean, they didn't give me challenges or anything. Just being around them was really difficult. Like just going to the grocery store. And when you come back, you're so exhausted, and I'll just think to myself, why am I so exhausted? And you know the reason why, because you've been out in mass consciousness.
Old shit came up for me, but I thought I already dealt with it, with SES like years ago, and suddenly it just blew up in my face, where I'm like, why do I have these feelings now? Like really like a kind of an addictive kind of feeling. So it really helped to kind of just feel through that and let it be there, and really like feeling through this experience to let it finally really go. But I was really surprised how this kind of just got magnified in a way. If there's like a little Gramsel still there, it's just like, hey, Dragon oversaw that, but here, you better, clean that stuff up here.
Вот это было ощущение, что все нерешенные проблемы, которые мы поднимали даже для исцеления, о которых говорила Дамос, поднимите 3 проблемы, да, на Stand in Grace, которых вы бы хотели освободиться и которые бы вы хотели исцелить. Даже эти 3 проблемы, которые поднимались мной, они просто подошли и начали меня душить. Они не интегрировались, они никуда не ушли, они просто еще сильнее, соответственно, давили на меня, и каждый день это был как фильм ужасов, да, пленка со всеми событиями, она просто как по орбите крутится, не покидая мою орбиту с утра до вечера, собственно говоря. Все это было видно.
And there were issues I thought I never could get over. It was like, here's something and there's no way to get over it, or to let it go, to allow that these aspects get integrated. And it was not so easy, because one of them was, like we had in Staying in Grace, end of suffering.
Я безумно благодарна за Кастаму. Это великолепнейший семинар, который необходимо обязательно прослушать всем. И Адамус там 1,5 часа дает именно как раз-таки сессию освобождения от страданий. Да? Я ее также крутила с утра до вечера. Это не в смысле, что прям 24 часа в сутки, но утро и вечер у меня начинались с алым кругом и заканчивались алым кругом. Почему? Потому что фильм ужасов, который находится перед тобой, который душит тебя и который, как шлем, который на тебя одет, вот этот вот доспехи рыцаря, да, такие стальные доспехи рыцаря, они по-прежнему были на мне, они никуда не девались, я их чувствовала ежедневно, как тяжесть.
Have you felt anything that you could feel as something that is building up towards Heaven's Cross? Your feelings, maybe something's happening, what could you share?
I got deeper into the experience of letting go of any residual guilt from those Atlantean times and being in service for humanity, and almost as if having this battle of love, like battling for love or fighting for love. Of course, this was very subconscious. So I feel a lot of that time was peeling away of those layers of that friction, like any victim energies or any control or any sense of that residual guilt that I should be fixing something, I should be doing something to alter anything.
At least once a week, there was this monumental shift in consciousness on the planet that I could feel. It's just because when you fly, you just don't feel it that impacting you that much because you're 4,000 miles away from mass consciousness or whatever. But you can still sense it. It's there in a sense. So I could feel all the time changes within myself and on the outside. I mean, I had crazy dreams almost every night, dreaming past lifetimes and all these other things. So there was a lot of change that I sensed there.
I was really surprised how tangible this Heaven's Cross felt. It was like this knowingness. It's like, yeah, it's there. I could kind of, in my inner view, I could kind of see it already. You feel like there's like this end of a tunnel, like this light coming already, right? And you see like it's coming close. That's how I kind of felt for me.
Connecting with myself was most important. And that would mean that I would have difficulty connecting with other people, even Shaumbra. So I asked myself if I can really live alone, like without anybody else, and connect with my soul and live that way. But actually, I asked Adamus I went to the workshop in February, and I had a chance to ask him if I would have to. I had fear of living alone, but he gave me the answer that no, I won't be alone. I can be in the and. I can be with my soul, living with it, but be in the and.
I became more solitary. It wasn't like I was shunning people, but I just wasn't engaging friends that I would have normally engaged because there was an anticipation, and I spoke about the relief of, yes, it's finally happening, but it's just about all I ever thought about or wanted to talk about.
Can you remember if you were actually consciously preparing for Heaven's Cross in some way?
Yeah, I did actually. So one thing I did, there was in February a workshop, and it was time travel, and I actually didn't plan on going there because I already did it, and the main reason was kind of prepare for this energy, or getting out of my rut here, of work and whatever, my usual environment, just being in Hawaiian energies, being with Shaumbra, being with Adamus, and which was really great because it was the smallest group ever, so it was perfect. It's only 11 people.
I tried to connect myself with the other realms and this realm. I loved Tesla's channel, and he kind of stressed that we should be the ones that connect the other realms and this realm and just do it consciously. So that remained in me, and so I did a lot of breathing.
It's very interesting that you took that you actually used some of that information that was given during the conference to help yourself. It's very interesting. Right. And it's awesome that you found in that channel that you found those things that really you could relate to and actually use it. That's wonderful.
The moment this kind of old life kind of moved away in a sense, meaning I moved away from it and stepped into unknown. Boom, like creativity was just there. I just had inspiration to write something, to write a book. SG was great. He gave me some really good tips.
SG being
Saint Germain. Gave me really good tips, and yeah, I just wrote a book in literally 2 months. That's all I wanted to do. I was sitting all day in a house and just writing. December, January, I wrote a book, and yeah, so so much change since November.
For me, the tension was building, the anticipation was building, and February was brutal. I brought a sickness into my body. I was unhappy. I was crabby. Again, I just was going through so many different changes, and I didn't know why.
In early March, I started having rashes in my body. It was something I experienced when I went through awakening. Those rashes, lots of rashes. So it reminded me of my awakening, and I was kind of saying to myself, like, again? Like, am I going through this again?
2 days before, about 2 days before, it was like, even I was quite calm on the outside. Inside, I felt like electricity flowed through the whole body. It was a little bit awkward. I thought, what this? I'm feeling so strange.
I wanted to sleep a lot. I wanted to be left alone a lot. I didn't understand that I was a realm worker. I didn't understand what else was happening to me.
Did you have any major anticipations, or were you just going with the flow and, okay, I'll see what I can see?
I had a lot of anticipations. Yeah. I think the biggest was this idea of the realm work ending, which is such a big thing. I'm still processing that, but that was a big part of it. And then this, I would say maybe hope that there will be a closer, more direct connection to my soul, to myself that was, so busy in the other realms. So there was a big hope for that.
Well, there was this big hope from this day that inside something happens, like a small realization. So I thought, okay, maybe in this going to Heaven's Cross, there's, well, not this flash, but maybe a little bit, it's like, now I remember, or something like that. This anticipation was there.
People would say, oh, this political thing and this war here, and, children are being abducted for sex slavery. And it's like, and I can't fix all those things. But what I knew was that it had to be a change in consciousness. And that's what I was saying to people. They say, well, that's kind of airy-fairy. I was like, no, it's coming. It's coming. We're going to get to a place where that 51%, where we're going to get over the top of that hump, and we're going to go downhill. We're going to gather speed as time goes on. And it felt like Heaven's Cross for me was the top of that curve. Like we finally got there, and that we're going to now enjoy the fruits of those labors.
My mind just so tick, 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 tick. It's March 8, it's March 10, it's March 17. One more week, one more day, one more. And there was just a lot of buildup, a lot of almost explosive buildup. My little balloon was stretching as far as it could, anticipating something. And I didn't know what I was anticipating. I just knew something big was coming. I wasn't so naive as to think waking up on March 23rd, the world was going to be a different place. There were going to be unicorns and rainbows. I didn't think that at all. But I did expect something. I honestly, I don't have words. I expected something to really be significantly different. Like there was a line of demarcation, Nastya, that there was a before and there was an after, and it was an obvious difference.
We were at a workshop a few days before, and Adamus was like, yeah, your future and past self will be there. Obviously, my first wishing thought was like, oh yeah, spaceships are coming. But I knew, of course, it's just the whole integration and, those parts of yourself that came back to you. But like everybody else, I prepared for hundreds of lifetimes, right? So it was beyond ready. So it was just time to experience. I know it sounds like a little Zen-like, but truly it was just time to kind of experience. Yeah. So I mean, I wasn't on that human level really preparing, other than just being in Hawaii and being okay, let's go.
Were you watching the webcast on the day of the apocalypse, of the opening? And if you did, how did it feel? Were there any particular sensations, any particular feelings or emotions?
First, I was contemplating, I just doing my lunchtime. I listen to the webcast. But then I was really happy. I was like, oh, fuck it. It's like this event of the lifetimes, like all lifetimes deserves at least like taking a day off,
I was looking forward to the Heaven's Cross webcast. In Japan, it started at 4:00 in the morning. But still, Adamus kept on saying, let's celebrate, let's kumbaya, bring some champagne. And actually, I did buy champagne, wine, and I was ready to celebrate. But enforcing was something that I couldn't do. I got up at 4, but I said, my body said, no, I can't get up. So I just went back to sleep. Back to bed. I listened in bed.
You were probably at the recording of the webcast. You were at the party. Can you tell us a little bit about how you were experiencing being there? What were you feeling? How did it look?
It was really bizarre, in a way, because like, right, it's you're waiting forever, and then boom, it's there. And I just remember we were all like when we were all ready, the energy that was there was I never felt that before. I could feel literally 10 years from now, everybody who's going to be watching it, and just all the energy was there. And even spooks, I even felt spooks for the first time around, who were like, what? No, we don't want this to happen. Well, too bad, it did happen. So they were screaming out, and it was distracting, it was very intense, but everybody was just so centered, so balanced, so present, and it was just amazing. So it was ended up being very graceful, and kudos to Jeff, who was able to to handle all of that and channel at the same time. It was amazing. And Saint Germain, of course.
I was in the desert. My phone had just one little bar of service, and ordinarily that's not enough to stream anything. And so I tested it, and it seemed to be working. So I sat it was really windy that day, and the RV was rocking, and I sat and I made myself a nice meal. And then here we have Adamus coming on, Saint Germain coming on for the apocalypse. for that transition. And it's just so beautiful. It's just so beautiful because I felt very honored to be part of it. And I know that my human doesn't really understand what happened in the realm work, but I do understand that it's a fundamental commitment to the essence of who I am to make that all work.
My wife and I were both watching it together. The opening music, boom, I start to cry. I mean, it wasn't 10 seconds into the webcast and I was crying. I cried through everything. I cried through the breathing. I cried through the music. I cried through the Saint Germain. I couldn't stop crying. And they weren't tears of fear. But they were tears of joy. They were tears of release. They were tears that I can't even name. But I was so deeply moved. And when the procession started, the goodbyes and oh my God, I can cry right now. It was deeply impactful. Suddenly it was just me and them, the Ascended Masters, the Crimson Council. There wasn't a room, there wasn't a television, there wasn't a computer, there wasn't my wife, everything disappeared. It was just me in the story.
It felt like such an incredible, beautiful gift to myself and to everyone else at the same time. And when I listened to it and when he called the realm workers back, I just broke into tears of relief.
Mm-hmm.
It was just such a potent moment for me of just, we've done it. We've done it. That this is it. This is what this has all been about. And the tears I shed are tears of joy. They really are. They're like, wow, this is magnificent. This is magnificent what's going on. And to be a part of that is, for me, is such an incredible honor.
And all I could do was cry. I love the part about giving things over to the soul bowl, is what I call it, the soul bowl, and releasing and releasing and releasing. And maybe that's also part of the tears. But I was deeply moved. I'm moved right now, reliving it. When the webcast was over and the screen went blank, I couldn't move. I didn't want to move. I just was a puddle, non-functioning puddle, just feeling so deeply what had just happened.
I mean, I was surprised when, during the webcast, when this chalice, where you put all our suffering in there. And then again, my mind is like, oh, again, suffering. I thought we were over that, But then I learned now it's actually a really great concept, and it's maybe not a big suffering. It could be just small stuff, like at work, where something's in your mind, how you solve something, it's just, hey, let's just let it go and put it in the chalice. So it was interesting to go through that experience and appreciate these little concepts, that are offered.
I was watching the webcast. I cried my way through it. It was so beautiful, just deeply moving. I think what was moving about it for me was just feeling this immense love and gratitude that I felt from a lot of angelic beings towards me and all of us, and also that I felt for so many angelic beings.
It was a very deep experience for me. I could feel my wings. They were huge, incredibly big, and just flying into this opening that was very, very big and very deep experience, and immense sense of freedom. It was that's the main feeling about it. It was this freedom, this openness.
I was listening, and the procession, when was it Crimson Council? No, the angels left.
Yes.
That was something that remained in me. It was like, wow, we have to go on our own. That's how I felt. And it was a bit sad that they left. Yeah, but I think we need to be ready for doing it. I mean, going forward ourselves.
It was like a big end, right? So there was like the sadness that everybody's leaving. They're going to the through the Heaven's Cross and leaving. And by the same time, there was also this relief. It's like, oh yeah, we did it. And like, just like it sank in the whole gravity about, wow, what this actually is about. And it was just like, this relief. It really felt light also. So it was really a mix of emotion at the same time. And also then like, oh, it's something new. What's coming? So what does it mean, right?
Понятное дело, что я ждала это как манны небесной. Все-таки великое событие. Больше всего меня, конечно же, восхищало то, что с момента создания ангельской трубы на Землю, да, в один конец, до 22 марта все это время, соответственно, дематериализуется, да, трансформируется и, исчезает. Это все уже не имеет значения. Это огромная, скажем так, человеческая жизненная суета, хочется сказать грубым словом, она в данный момент вся может быть дематериализована и, собственно говоря, как пепел развеется в воздухе. То есть здесь было четкое понимание радости, что все это, скажем так, напрасное страдание и огромное количество воплощений на Земле наконец-то могут быть обнулены. И это чувство обнуления давало чувство свободы, именно радости свободы, которой не было до этого.
I talked about, going out and laying down on the cinders, and the sun was shining, and I went and just dug my fingers into that loose cinder loam, and I just sobbed for a long time of just the relief that it's done and done well. And to ground that energy, and I felt Gaia's presence very strongly for me, of supporting me in that. So that's the other thing I wanted to add about that day that was really important for me.
Have you noticed any changes that were undeniable, changes in your thoughts, perceptions, in your dreams, anything that you could feel that, okay, this is definitely a result of gravity lifting, or this is definitely a result of the opening? Could you share any of those?
Right after, or sometime like day or two after Heaven's Cross, I also got this intense feelings of grief and like desperation, like deep desperation, like all is lost, and those sensations, those stories, like suicidal thoughts and like desperate, and so it was a very mixed bag. And of course I knew it wasn't mine. So I still felt it very strong. And I just breathed it through that. And yeah, it was an intense experience.
I felt tired, exhausted. So that was the first thing that I experienced. And also relief. But at first, just the tiredness was so strong that that's the main thing, I would say, in the beginning. So I feel like I've been in this rejuvenation mode, just recuperating from everything that took place up to Heaven's Cross. So yeah, so just a lot of like resting and starting to feel the kind of energy come back to me.
Like for a month, I was really, my body was really heavy, feeling bad. I hated looking in the mirror, and it gets me depressed. But now that I'm doing better, I feel lighter. But still, there are days that I feel really heavy. Like Adamus tells us to enjoy life and create. And I actually started creating. I mean, I realized I like sewing, and I did do some sewing. I cook, and I try to like distract myself from the uncomfortable state of myself.
With then also the light body coming in and this tiredness, then my body started reacting very, very strongly. I had a whole month with intense pain, like muscle pain and nerve pain at the same time in my shoulders, my knees, my foot. So I could hardly walk. I could only lie on my back. I couldn't even, if I wanted to change the position of my head, I would have to do it with my hands. So it was like being in a realm of pain where I would just feel myself very intensely. I mean, there was only me and pain.
It's just more of that discombobulation, that complete disorientation, just not knowing what's up and what's down. You know, I love all the different ways Adamus tries to tell us you're not going crazy. Because I think that's a real symptom of post-apocalypse or just realization, is that sense of disconnect from everything you knew before and all of the different anchors that you had set up to hold yourself here. Those are gone. And, you get used to floating, but sometimes you've got to figure things out. You've got to engage the mind to make a decision, even simple decisions.
So it's a very personal experience, but I can see how, because all of us who are doing going through this experience, we're having all these personal experiences, but at the same time, I can then see how like with this 100 monkeys effect, right? Where suddenly it just goes over to mass consciousness, and then everybody can basically.
Well, there have been 350,000 monkeys working in the other realms to make it happen. Oh. That's a lot of monkeys.
A lot of monkey effect there. Exactly. This number blew me away too, like 350,000. There's also, I understand, also there's a lot of non-Shaumbra, there's so many.
And to even count those who are earth workers, right?
Yeah. And I'm just wondering how those people who are not Shaumbra, who just realm workers and maybe don't even know it, they just suddenly feel this emptiness, right? And I don't imagine how they deal with all this stuff, but it's a good thing it's not my thing to do.
I'm all like, yeah, I did 20 workshops and I'm good. I'm good. I'm just gonna support everybody else. Bullshit. But and Saint Germain was like, so Marco, did you let go? Did you put some of your stuff in a chalice? I was like, me? I was like, all right. I was like, okay, I'll do it. And he's like, are you sure? I was like, all right, bring it on. Soul, bring it on. And yeah, I did see it right after. But it really helped, like joke on aside, it really helped just having other people who were going through similar things. And we were all kind of holding hands and releasing stuff, metaphorically, meaning. So yeah, it helped a lot to have other people also, and Chalice, and just being willing to do it, you know.
В конце февраля я прошла курс фридайвинга на Филиппинах, и когда я погружалась на 3-5 метров, у меня начинались панические атаки. Жуткие панические атаки, я не могла держать дыхание, мне хотелось, конечно же, быстренько подняться наверх, глотнуть воздуха, плюс, видимо, одна из прошлых жизней была связана с утоплением, и, конечно же, 22 марта, когда начался Небесный Крест, я эту проблему отдавала ежедневно в чашу своей души. Ровно 31 марта, когда у меня было погружение, я смогла погрузиться с задержкой дыхания ногами вниз на 22 метра и на 15 метров вниз головой. За неделю достичь этот результат без Небесного Креста для меня физически не представлялось возможным. Это четкий показатель того, как работает Небесный Крест и как работает энергия именно с нашими проблемами, и что если действительно мы все это отдаем, это все трансформируется.
I felt that my life was my own for the first time, and that I could choose to do anything now. I felt like the choices that I made and the possibilities were now, I was free to choose anything.
Everything feels lighter, even if there's if there's some heaviness in the energy, or experiencing heaviness in the body, or a heavy encounter or something, or it doesn't matter. It's just so, it's exciting.
It's like, remember when you did the very first time you go up the roller coaster and you hear like click, 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 and then you know like you're going to be very high and it's going to be very fast, and you're like fuck, you know. And then you felt like in the stomach, in the gut area, you felt like this nauseated feeling because you just don't know what's coming, right? It's like, and then you look over like, oh my god. But then you know you're like on tracks, it's going to be safe and you want to survive. And but I felt like similar, like this nauseated feeling a few times after Heaven's Cross.
You know, it really does feel like the veil has been pulled back. It seems to me personally, the colors that I'm looking at are brighter, the smells are richer, the flavor of food is more enhanced. Just my whole experience of my sensory experience is just more attuned, more sharp, and that's what I'm noticing. And it's amazing. It's awesome. It's joyful. It's new.
So what started happening, what I noticed that feelings and emotions and thoughts arise, but they don't really stick anywhere. So things don't go into my emotions so deeply anymore. If I interact with people and there's some drama energy for them or something like that, it may evoke some feeling or emotion for me, but it doesn't really stick anymore.
Sometimes I would wake up with like a story that I would work with. What could we do to release this problem here? Like writing a play or something. Yeah, that is a bit different from what it was before, that I'm going in and out of some kind of tableaus that I have a kind of interaction with, and that I see like the director, and I'm also this person or that person. Yeah, it's more like a theater.
So those parts of you, they just kind of turn into stories that you observe from a different perspective, right?
So this this being in a theater or a play is it's been with me for quite some time, so it feels natural, but it's funny in this way now. Yeah.
But I think it's also like this anticipation. Okay, there's something new coming. It's like this excitement, but at the same time, it's also this the unknowingness. It's like unknown, right? And so it's like, but at the same time, so there's like this anxiety in a way, because some part of me is like, oh yeah, remember when we started this journey, it all started with the simple questions, who am I? And then, you know, we had all these thousands of lifetimes.
I feel there's a sense of completion, of wholeness, and just a delight to be here. You know, I had some moments prior to when Saint Germain talked about Heaven's Cross. It's like wondering why I was here, and it's like, why am I still in a body? Why, you know? And I mean, as strange as it sounds, I thought about what would it be like to leave, you know? But now it's like, I feel like, wow, there's so much possibility now that doesn't even occur to me.
Yeah, I used to say, I mean, 6 months ago or less, when is it going to get easy? I just felt like I was slogging and slogging and slogging and exhausted all the time and whatever. Wham. But now, again, it just feels like the sun is out, the sky is blue, the trees are green, and it did get easier. It almost like it got easier in spite of me. You know, that subtle shift of all of a sudden one day, wow, it's easier. And I didn't have to effort. And I'm just enjoying my life. So subtle changes.
What has the apocalypse been for you? How you could describe it or how you could define it? And what is your main feeling right now?
For me, the apocalypse was the dropping of the veil. It was also connected to the completion of the realm work, which means that for me that there was a lightening up of the gravity of mass consciousness.
The apocalypse for me is the becoming aware of the divine that I am all the time, but that was kind of separate or felt separate. But I know like the bad times are over.
Apocalypse to me is a fulfillment of my soul's purpose. It's freedom now to express myself in this human body for experiences that I've never had before. And I'm delighted to be part of that because I've retired. I've retired from my realm work. I've retired from my business, and I'm just enjoying life.
Yeah, if I was to summarize it with something, I would say being present here with my soul eyes open.
The apocalypse.
Yeah.
I love that.
Like I said, I didn't have expectation of Heaven's Cross. But it feels like, what a gift of experience. What a gift. Oh, what a gift.
Like letting go of any control, letting go of any need to battle or have missions. You know, that we all had that for such a long time, to have an important mission. and to really relax into this idea that it's okay to not have a mission. It's okay to not battle anymore. Like, nobody needs protection anymore. And to relax into that. So I'm at the starting point of that.
I'm realizing, oh my God, that's what apocalypse is. It truly is just bringing the real truth out. You know, what is really going on. And to me, that's one way to describe apocalypse. That's the stage I am right now in, is just be true to yourself, completely accept who you are, but without being killed this time, or, you know, without having a fear that something is going to happen if you do that. So, and yeah, it's just, that's what it is. Unveiling, really unveiling of everything, you know. For humanity is the truth. For myself is all the parts of me, like, for example, you know, the realm worker self that I suppressed in a sense as a human, you know, that's unveiling, you know, like it's not that it wasn't there, it's just that I didn't see it. So boom, like, curtain is gone and I can now really feel it. I can see it, I can feel it.
Like, I would say that we've been flowing on the river on a boat, and now we went through the apocalypse, and we got a new engine, like a new engine that we don't know how to use, we don't know how it works. But this engine will give us many potentials, and very new potentials that's out of human consciousness. And I think that's for us to discover and experience. And it might be frightening, but, well, Shaumbra are pirates, so I guess we're going to go and experience it.
I can feel there's something new coming. Like, there's this opening, and it's this light coming through. It's basically like, I see, like, you know, the sun is rising finally. You know, we were like in this darkness, and then the sun is rising, and it's like lighting up all these different potentials now that we might not have been aware about before. And I can also see how now, you know, how we now learn how, you know, energy and consciousness, how that works, even, you know, get a better understanding how that works together. And what I'm also excited about, to see what it means when they merge together, you know, when we talk about a new energy. I think that's probably then, we'll see where it goes, but that might be something we're gonna experience soon.
So the overall feeling right now is just an excitement about what's next, what's going to be unfolding.
The overall feeling, yeah, excitement, and there's also more and more a lightness coming over. Where, you know, before I said, right after, there was a lot of also, you know, anxiety still there, but there's also a lightness, and then also, you know, the experience of giving more to the soul, basically just letting soul deal with it. And we're just going through the experience, so I don't have to solve everything as a human. And this kind of really makes, that really, you know, really supports me and in what we are going through.
Наконец-то мы начинаем полностью, скажем так, проживание нашего взросления. Мы же повзрослели, мы же помудрели, да, мы же уже не дети, и сейчас мы можем по-настоящему начать творить, не основываясь на том, что было, а полностью внося совершенно новое, и практикуя совершенно новое, и творя совершенно новое без повторения. Это имеет огромное для меня значение. То есть все старое, все повторяющееся закончено. Сейчас наступило время всего нового, и старому в этом нет места. Только мудрость этого опыта, как говорится, может развернуться. Все остальное обнуляется.
right now it feels like there is so much that has been left behind, and the what is coming is unfolding on so many levels of my being, which will show itself.
It's like this deep awe and emptiness and fullness at the same time, like this deep love in the sense that it is very sensual, and it's being in awe. Yeah. And but it is the and. So it's not this like as if I was in this kind of like total bliss something all the time, yet it is there all the time. But it's like it's free. It's just free. It's this free flow every moment.
Yes, I still have those days when I ask myself, what am I doing here? There is no answer for this. I mean, there's no right way to do this. So I think we just have to go forward with whatever is comfortable for us, for each of us.
But I can clearly feel this, there's something new is coming, and I'm going through the feeling, it's like just, something new is exciting, but it's also there's anxiety about it. But that's this, that's where we're going through, and it's good to know that we go there together in a certain. I mean, we're doing all by ourselves, but in a way, like now we can exchange and talk through it. It makes it easier, and I really appreciate that.
I can finally be myself. I know it sounds maybe cliche, but seriously, I can truly feel myself and accept myself completely. I can just be me. I can just be myself. So that's my favorite part about all this. I can just do whatever fuck I want and feel how I can acknowledge. I can just feel however I want and act however I want. Total freedom. So I feel amazing. Feels amazing.
I have an amazing life. It's not just a good life. I have an amazing life. And I'm looking out right now, my windows at a huge peach orchard and beautiful greenery and nature all around me, and the ability to come and go and do whatever I want. And it's just really letting that now bring joy into my life. And I love it. I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad I made it. I'm glad I got my diploma, and I'm glad I'm here. And now there's just a deep, deep joy.
Looking forward to the new toys that are in front of us.
Yeah, but it seems like you have very positive attitude. This is why you were not talking about trash days at all in this interview. You only basically talked about all of your excitement, all of your anticipations now. You didn't have many anticipations about the Heaven's Cross itself, but now you're anticipating, okay, what is it bringing us? What is it that I'm becoming aware of? And what is there in store for me in my own energy? You seem to be very excited. That's so nice to see, really.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just amazed when you think about that. We are the first ones doing it. All the other Ascended Masters, they didn't go there, or couldn't go there because of mass consciousness and who knows what. And now we are the first ones kind of going along this path. It's just like mind-boggling,